let me begin. And first, thanks very much for having this conversation with us. The topic is data analytics in the context of tax. And essentially, what I'd like to kind of discuss first with you is the strides that are being made both at the taxpayers and the tax collectors end. But before I talk about the taxpayer, I'd like to talk a little bit about how the government is making, these very significant strides in tax analytics. And I actually want to go back first to 2012 when Pranab Mukherjee came out with this black money report. All the way back in 2012, where they, for the first time, the income tax department actually started putting down a framework as to how they will go about their journey on tax analytics. And obviously that black money report later became a basis for demonetization under the Modi government, and the rest is history. I also remember from that Ajay Devgan movie Raid, where Ajay Devgan as a tax officer was trying to detect, avoidance by a politician, and he was looking through the ledgers of to try and detect how the taxes had been avoided. And then I remember those scenes where he's breaking the ceiling and the pillars of the house and the money falls out. So we've come a very long way since then. My understanding is now today the government has a very significant set of tools available at their disposal. With the wealth of data that they're collecting, now the entire process has moved to data analytics and a way as to how to kind of figure out any kind of tax avoidance, and of course increase the taxpayer base, the accuracy in reporting by the means of use of tax analytics. So in the opening, Vinod, what are your comments on the efforts made by the government in kind of doing analytics at their end, and how successful do you think they've been?
You might have read certain newspaper news about some investigation which has been carried out. There was some Baratis went to somewhere and a lot many those kind of things. Actually, it is germinated by way of the analytics and the data. What means currently the government is having such a kind of infrastructure they built in, and it's not the overnight they did it. You rightly said that it is started from somewhere around 2012, but the major boost I feel that in India particularly, if you look at, it came from the GST implementation, where the government completely gone digital. The taxes becoming digital. It was never been seen in India such a kind of a digitization at that scale. And thereafter, even the income tax came with the faceless and other things. At the same time, now the government of India, as well as the government all over the world, it's not only the India related. I can say that even in Europe, you are finding that now the e-invoicing will be brought out by the EU Council, EU Commission, and in UK also making the tax digital is the initiative. In Saudi, you are seeing the e-invoicing which is coming up. So governments are collecting data from various means and from the various regulatory authorities. Now the data is processed meaningfully. At present, there are data warehouses with the government. They're having data mining tools. They're using AI and machine learning also. And it can give a kind of result where they know the most risky proposition or the case or a taxpayer where they can get into the investigation. So I feel that is my view, at least the government in India particularly, it's one step ahead of the business. See, they are doing a lot. So I feel they are, and it's a right track also, because earlier it is used to be once you have filed the return you can file after any time, and then maybe before the return comes to the government was not having anything with them. they don't know about your business. But today's situation, because of the real-time reporting, I feel government is collecting huge data, which the even businesses are not aware what they have reported.
So, Vinod, thanks very much for that perspective. In fact, you've kind of, helped me get to my next question. And by saying that the government is probably ahead of us, when I look into many of the organizations, the taxpayers that we serve, within those taxpayers also, I see our tax, directors and the tax departments of many of the companies that we serve as late adopters of some of the technology, as well as some of the important dashboarding and analytics that some of the other departments within the company have already adopted a long time back. So like, for instance, especially sales, they have moved to obviously very detailed ERPs and then predictive modules on top of those ERPs to look forward into what item codes are doing well in the market, and therefore they are looking at trying to kind of use that knowledge from the past trends to predict the future. Whereas in tax departments today, the emphasis is more on what I need to do. How do I need to file a return accurately? And we are still yet to move to this stage of what I need to know about my tax, and therefore what I need to take decisions better going forward. So what's your view about that? And do you see that even within our own organizations, the tax team is slightly behind in their adoption of technology and predictive analytics?
I will not agree fully with you. Maybe it's your experience and you are seeing it with some of the organization, it may be. But particularly in our case, if we look at, see, I can tell you, I get a dashboard of how much taxes we have paid in each of the geography jurisdiction on a weekly basis, which will plan us from major, I can see that as a tax function, you can add value to the business by properly managing your tax credits, by advising the supply chain to procure at a certain jurisdiction if it is possible, so that you can avail the credits well. So we are doing that, and fortunately for us, we got that kind of systems which has been developed. So there you can drive even the business processes, your decisions, business decisions of procurement or sales, or even the supply of services. Like we have global customers, global market, and then the taxation can play a major role in providing the same services with a more cost-effective way to the customers if it has been properly managed. So I think the data, and we are talking here the data analytics. So not only the data is required for compliances, tax compliances, that is very much it is required, your sales, purchase, your profits, and your accounting, whatever the data which is there in the ERP. But it can be used for proper tax planning, and more or less it will be useful even for your litigation, if at all it comes. So I feel that yes, I have seen that before GST, people were working in silos, and there was hardly any collaboration or coordination between the internal functions and the teams, because everything was a postmortem. But when it has become a real-time kind of a thing and seamless and free flow of credits, so therefore it becomes very imminent and important to have an edge over your competition. You require to manage your taxes well and to be in sync with everyone within the organization.
So yeah, thanks, Vinod, well articulated. And I hear what you're saying, that the role of a tax director in an organization is changing from just being a steward or an operator to more of a catalyst and probably a business partner, which is the way you described it, in ensuring that we are able to walk in step with the business to provide them with the insights that are necessary to take the right decisions at the right time. So I hear you completely. The data that your organization generates and what you capture for tax purposes